The film begins with a group of secret agents on a mission at a hotel in Trieste, Italy. The mission is led by a woman named Roxanne, while their boss, Brennan, watches from their headquarters in London. Nick and his team have to pick up a CIA agent who is carrying a briefcase with important information about people who worked for Western countries. At first, everything goes well, but suddenly, the car that was supposed to pick them up explodes. So, Nick and his team have to find another way to get to the meeting point. While they're trying to figure it out, they are attacked by their enemies who also want the briefcase. Roxanne sees that the team is in danger as more members are being shot. She tells Nick to hide and wait for help, but Nick refuses. He believes he can finish the mission. Nick then takes the CIA agent and the briefcase to the pickup spot. However, when they get to a bridge, Nick is shot and falls into the river. The enemies kill the CIA agent and steal the briefcase. The scene changes to a man named Mike. He is being asked to leave by Nicole, the woman he went out with the night before. Nicole is also Mike's English teacher at school. There, Mike tries to act sweet, but Nicole isn't interested because she doesn't want a romantic relationship with him. He used to be her student, and he's also a classmate of her son, Gary. Unlike Gary, who now works as a manager at a local bank, Mike seems to enjoy his job as a construction worker. Mike also likes to hang out with his friends and even helps one of them plan their wedding. One day, while Mike is at a bar with his friends, Roxanne shows up. Soon after, they start chatting, catching up about their lives after high school. They talk and seem happy to spend time together since it's been so long. As they play pool, Roxanne suddenly stops the game and invites Mike to a park. This park is special because it's where he told Roxanne he liked her for the first time. Mike plays Roxanne's favorite song on his phone, and they dance, remembering their past. But then, unexpectedly, Roxanne does something to knock him out. At that time, two of her men are ready to take Mike away. It turns out Roxanne had a plan all along because she believes Mike is the right person for their secret mission. The next day, Mike wakes up in a hotel room in London. Confused, he tries to leave, but then he meets Brennan, Roxanne's boss. There, Brennan tells Mike to go with her and Roxanne. While they're traveling, Roxanne explains about a secret group called the Union. Even other spy agencies don't know about the Union. Roxanne and Brennan are both agents for the Union, and they want Mike to join them. Brennan explains that the Union likes to recruit normal people like Mike, because the enemy won't notice them or find them suspicious. As they stop to grab breakfast, Roxanne tells Mike about their failed mission in Trieste. Afterward, they take Mike to the Union's main office at the BT Tower, where Roxanne explains about a woman named Juliet, who has stolen the briefcase with the sensitive information. Shortly after, Roxanne explains that Juliet plans to sell the important information, called the intel, on the black market in London for a mysterious person. When Mike hears this, he quickly realizes that the mysterious person is the one who killed the Union agents in Italy and stole the intel. Brennan says the intel will be auctioned in 2 weeks, so they need someone to join the auction. At first, Mike doesn't get why they need someone like him for such an important mission. But Brennan explains that Mike is perfect because he's just an ordinary person. Mike isn't a trained spy or a skilled soldier. He's just a normal guy who works every day, so no one would be suspicious of him. At that moment, Brennan tells Mike to think it over and decide by the end of the day if he wants to join the Union or continue with his regular life. And Mike, not wanting to risk his life, plans to return to his hometown. But Roxanne tries to convince him that he's a great person and can succeed in the mission. Mike, however, is still mad at Roxanne and brings up their past, reminding her how she dumped him and disappeared for years. Roxanne, feeling hurt by his words, gives Mike a plane ticket home and walks away. Feeling upset, Mike decides to call his mom, thinking she'd be worried about him. To his surprise, his mom already knows about Roxanne coming to see him and even encourages him to get back together with her because she liked Roxanne. After talking to his mom, Mike changes his mind. He realizes he shouldn't waste this rare chance to become a secret agent, especially since the Union specifically picked him for the mission. In the next few days, Mike started physical training with a man named Frank. He also had to go through medical and psychological tests with a female agent named Athena. Besides that, Mike had to do a teamwork and trust test with Roxanne. For this, Roxanne made him run on the roof of a building while blindfolded. Mike also practiced driving and shooting, with Roxanne helping him. After all the tests and training, Mike meets Foreman, who gives him a new identity and a disguise for his mission. The next day, Roxanne and her team get ready for their own tasks, while Mike goes to a location carrying $5 million in cash. Soon, a man approaches Mike and tells him to turn off his communication device because he knows Mike is there to join the auction. Shortly after, the man takes Mike to a restaurant, where Mike finds an empty table reserved under his name. There, Mike finds a cell phone under the table and answers a call from Juliet. While Mike is talking to her, Roxanne and her team realize that their mission has been discovered by the enemy, who is now watching Mike. After the call, Mike goes to the bathroom, where he meets a large man named Ricky. Ricky has been sent by Juliet to count the cash that Mike brought. Once Ricky confirms the money is correct, Juliet tells Mike that the cell phone he has is the key to joining the secret auction. At that time, Mike felt happy because he thought his mission was going to be easy. But as he was leaving the restaurant, he was shocked by a gunfight between Roxanne and their enemies. While Roxanne and her team were fighting, Mike tried to run away to protect the device he had, but the enemies found him and started chasing him on motorcycles. They trapped Mike, and just as they were about to kill him, Frank and Athena showed up just in time to save him. However, soon after, Mike was attacked by a female assassin named Lucy, who tried to steal the device. Lucy was a strong fighter, and Mike struggled to keep up with her. He almost passed out when she started choking him, but luckily, Roxanne arrived just in time to help. Roxanne and Lucy then got into a tough fight, but in the end, she managed to defeat Lucy. After winning the fight, Roxanne and her team rushed back to their base. When they arrived, Foreman told them the device was completely broken and couldn't be fixed because Mike had accidentally dropped it in a sink full of water. Mike felt bad about it, but Roxanne came up with a plan. She suggested stealing a similar device from another group so they could still join the auction. The next day, Foreman found out where another group was hiding and that they also had a device. When Brennan heard this, he immediately ordered Roxanne and her team to steal the device, no matter what, so they could continue their mission. That night, Roxanne and her team sneaked into a mansion guarded by Russian mercenaries. They fought their way through and got the device they needed. But when they returned to the car, they found Athena dead. They also found a postcard with a picture of the BT Tower, which was their main headquarters. Seeing this, Roxanne quickly realized they had been discovered. She called Brennan and told him to leave immediately. Unfortunately, her warning came too late, and from a distance, Roxanne saw the BT Tower explode. Soon after, Frank got a message from Brennan, who had survived the explosion. Brennan told them to split up and hide because their enemies were now hunting them. Roxanne then took Mike to a hotel, one of her secret hideouts. The next day, the auction day, Roxanne and Mike got ready for the mission, while Foreman tracked down Juliet's location during the auction. Eventually, Roxanne and Mike found Juliet, and Roxanne stopped the auction by pointing a gun at her. There, Roxanne asked Juliet where the intel was, and Juliet, without any problem, invited them to her house, saying she kept the intel in a safe. At Juliet's house, she gave the intel to Roxanne, who checked to make sure it was real. Just then, Nick appeared, and they were shocked to see he was still alive. Nick told Roxanne that there might be a traitor in the Union, and he accused Brennan of being the traitor. Nick said Roxanne should give the intel to Foster from the CIA because he didn't trust Brennan. There, Nick begged Roxanne to believe him and showed how much he cared about her safety, calling her his wife. And Roxanne, still having feelings for Nick, decided to trust him and agreed to let him handle giving the intel to the CIA. On the way back, Mike, feeling upset that Roxanne had kept her marriage to Nick a secret, decided to go to a bar for a drink. The next day, Mike surprised Roxanne by showing up at their meeting spot. He wanted to finish the mission so he could return to the United States without any regrets. But unexpectedly, Nick betrayed them, making it look like Roxanne and Brennan were the traitors. It turned out Nick was working with Juliet to sell the intel to buyers willing to pay a huge price. Soon after, Foster and the CIA agents arrived to arrest Mike and Roxanne, but they managed to escape by jumping off a bridge. Luckily, Roxanne had planned ahead and secretly put a tracker on Nick's jacket. This let her know that Nick was in Istria. Hearing this, Mike asked his friend Bobby, who worked at the airport, for help. Bobby, who knew people in the cargo area, helped Mike and Roxanne leave England secretly by hiding them in a cargo plane. Meanwhile, Nick and Juliet were meeting with a buyer named Javid, who was pleased when he checked the intel. But suddenly, Roxanne showed up to stop the deal. She signaled Mike, who then grabbed the intel and sped off on a motorbike. And Javid, seeing this, told his men to chase after Mike, while Roxanne held Nick at gunpoint. On the other hand, Juliet, realizing Nick had lost control of the situation, decided to leave him because she didn't want to get involved with a traitor like him. Soon after, Roxanne told Nick to surrender, but Nick managed to escape to the docks. Meanwhile, Mike was struggling as Javid's men kept chasing him, but Roxanne arrived just in time to help. Together, they fought off Javid's men and kept the intel safe. But then, Nick appeared again and threatened to kill Roxanne unless Mike handed over the intel to him. Seeing Nick threaten Roxanne, Mike, who still cared about her, was ready to give the intel to Nick. But suddenly, Javid and his men appeared, so Mike and Roxanne had to run. During the chaos, Mike was overpowered by Javid's men, lost the intel, and was thrown into the trunk of a car. At the same time, Javid tried to grab the intel that was lying on the road, but Nick showed up, pointed a gun at him, and took the intel. Shortly after, Roxanne and Javid both chased after Nick. While this was happening, Mike was still in the trunk of Javid's car. He managed to break free and attack Javid, throwing him out of the car. Mike then sped off to catch up with Nick. Moments later, Mike finally caught up to Nick, but Nick kept crashing into Mike's car, causing Mike to lose control and fall off the road into a ravine. Roxanne, seeing this, stopped her car and felt panicked, thinking Mike was dead. But luckily, he survived, and he was touched that Roxanne was so worried about him. Then, they quickly continued chasing Nick, who was trying to escape by boarding a ship. When they got to the pier, Roxanne pointed her gun at Nick, ordering him to surrender. However, he refused and tried to convince Roxanne to join him in selling the intel for millions of dollars. Roxanne didn't agree, and both fired shots at each other. Roxanne's shot was quicker and more accurate, killing Nick and allowing her to recover the intel. Some time later, Mike returned to his hometown to attend his friend's wedding, where he was the best man. After giving his speech, he was surprised to see Roxanne show up at the wedding. As they were leaving together, Brennan appeared and assigned them a new mission in Marrakesh. Mike was surprised but happy when Brennan congratulated him for officially joining the Union. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is if your ex tries to get you into shady spy missions, maybe it's time to block their number.